welcome to another edition of 10 Count. I am Steve Kim, joined by Michael Montero of Montero on Boxing and the editor-in-chief of Ring TV, Douglas Fischer. Now, we're going to get right into this. Mike, I'm going to cue you up here. Saturday,
right, bring it.
From the StubHub Center in Carson, it was the PBC on NBC. You were one of dozens of people that saw...
Hundreds, come on, Steve, hundreds.
That saw Robert Guerrero by the skin of his teeth beat Aaron Martinez. But that sparse crowd, it gave new meaning to the term ghost town.
Absolutely. You know, right before noon, which is where the card went on live on NBC, we looked around, and there couldn't have been more than 1,000 people there. I've never seen an arena so empty for a high-level fight. Yeah. And it was interesting, about a third of the bowl was cut off from the fans. So they pushed them all on the side where the cameras were behind us in the press section, right? And it wasn't just blocked off behind us, it was all the way up. So they had everybody pushed into this section where the cameras were shooting toward. It couldn't have been more than 1,000 people. And people started trickling in after the main event. It wasn't until the Darchinyan-Cuellar fight, or Cuellar-Darchinyan fight, that the crowd finally got in there. After the televised portion of the card, there were 6 bouts, including one with Alfredo Angulo, who brought the most fans. Suddenly, fans started trickling in. It couldn't have been more than 3,000 total fans.
To me, there's something very inauthentic about the PBC. And for the record, no matter what you read on my Twitter account on Saturday, I was not there, okay? Okay, I was just conning people.
Tricked me.
Yeah, he actually sent me a message in what section I was in. It was called Section Sofa on Ardmore Boulevard in Koreatown. Doug, when you're watching this, be honest, regardless of the quality of fight, isn't there something very sterile and sanitized about the PBC in general?
Well, yeah, in general, but regardless of the production value or what network the PBC is on, it's going to help any broadcast when you have a lively crowd. I mean, that's a big part of the energy of boxing, whether you're in the arena or not. Before we went on air, I was talking to Michael about what regions of the country has he gone to see live fights, and I asked him if he's ever seen a fight in Texas, and he was saying he almost went out to the Canelo-Kirkland fight in Houston, which is in a ballpark.
I knew it wasn't going to last long. Yeah. That's the only reason I didn't.
Right, which made sense. But you knew just from watching on HBO that the atmosphere was electric, whether you're there or not. If the atmosphere is electric and you're there, it's an unforgettable experience. But if you're not there, you can pick it up from watching TV. I remember watching the first fight between Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. I wasn't able to go there because my firstborn was just born. And, but I could pick up that energy from the arena. And when Manny Pacquiao scored those knockdowns in the first round,
guys,
that's a big part of the electricity and the
and that's what
jolt
separates
as a fan.
boxing from other sports, because boxing has the most passionate fans, and you feel that. You
feel that explosion, that ovation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was there last year when Terrence Crawford made his debut in Omaha, the CenturyLink Arena.
Exactly.
And that was a huge part. He drew 11,000, then he drew 12,000 against Ray Beltran. I think one of the few things that PBC has done right, Deontay Wilder has a mismatch against Eric Molina. And the bottom line is they didn't put it in a casino. They're at the UAB Arena, the Bartos Center, and they're going to sell out. So
and there will be real fans, and they will be his fans.
It'll be an event.
You can tell.
And looking at Robert Guerrero, just taking a look at the fight real fast, guys, he's backsliding and moonwalking like Michael Jackson. He's going backwards. I don't think he's an elite welterweight at this point anymore.
Well, he's not even a contender. Never mind the word elite. I don't think he's a top 10 welterweight contender. I mean, was it just last year that he was going life and death with Yoshihiro Kamagai, who was not a contender. He is a gatekeeper. Kamagai's a guy that you beat to prove that you deserve to be called a contender, or that you were even close to contender status. And you should beat him handily. I mean, what would Errol Spence do against Kamagai? He would spank him.
Cut him up.
Yeah, and Spence is considered a prospect. So the fact that Guerrero went life and death with this Japanese welterweight who was not ranked, that to me, put his contender status in question. And then earlier this year, he's dominated, basically. I mean, he was gutsy. He made it a good fight.
Right. But after getting dropped.
Right. He was dropped by Keith Thurman, and he lost. Now, he arguably lost to a club fighter.
Michael, you were there live ringside. When you saw him, did the word shot or faded come into your mind as you're watching him get drilled by a guy with 3 knockouts coming into this fight?
It seemed... faded, fine, maybe worn out a little bit, but Guerrero's always been one of those guys that fights down to the level of his opposition. This is a guy in Martinez that he should have, even at this stage of his career,
dominated.
beat. Yeah. If he would have stayed on the outside, worked from the outside, he was the taller, longer, way more experienced, way more skilled guy, he could have won that way. But, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, I can't remember the last time I've seen a Guerrero bout where his face wasn't beat up. He had 2 huge welts under his eyes, and Martinez looked good. You know, Martinez looked tired down the stretch, but Guerrero looked more beat up.
Michael, they were saying, some of the alibis that Team Guerrero was saying, and other PBC pom-pom waivers, was they brought him back too quick, and Henry Armstrong is rolling over in his grave. That fight was back in March. Do you think there was any part of that is valid, that he was brought back too soon? No.
I mean, I've seen a pattern with Guerrero in the last few fights. He doesn't wake up until he gets blasted, right? Mm-hmm. We saw that against Thurman. He kind of comes back. He's got heart. He's got grit.
Absolutely.
But at this stage of his career, he can't contend with even the, I would say, B-plus level welterweight.
Steve, back to the question of whether they brought him back too fast. I would say they brought him back too fast if they brought him back against Kell Brook.
Exactly.
Right.
Or even if they brought him back against a young up-and-comer who's a badass.
This was a showcase fight.
Like Errol Spence. This was against a club fighter. Yeah. Literally, this is a guy who is used to fighting 8 rounds and going life or death with journeymen with 500 records.
Right. I think he had maybe 3 10-rounders max, I think, before this fight.
Anytime he stepped up above the club level, he has lost, and he has been outclassed. So, I mean, to me, like, no. You can't say you brought Guerrero back too soon against this level of opposition.
And guys, one guy that should not be brought back at all, and you were there, and it was tough to watch this, and this guy is actually a borderline Hall of Famer if you look at his work between 112 and 115. The Raging Bull is no more. Vic Darchinyan should be given his walking papers as a boxer.
Somebody needs to talk to Vic, okay? Somebody in his camp that cares about him needs to talk to him. He made $100,000 for this fight. You know, he got a good payday, which is why he took the fight. But this is a guy who started, I think, in the year 2000 as a flyweight.
Yes.
He's 39 years old. As a little fighter, that's old.
It's like 50. That's some Bernard Hopkins stuff.
Absolutely. Little fighters age much, much quicker.
And
so at this stage of his career, somebody needs to talk to him because he was actually winning the fight, I think, after 5 or 6 rounds.
He's got great experience. He was an Olympian. He was a terrific amateur.
Absolutely.
And
he knows how to box.
He was the class of boxing in the previous decade at flyweight and junior bantamweight. From 112 to 115 pounds, you had to be really special just to hang with Vic Darchinyan, let alone beat him. But those days are long gone.
He used to blast people with these shots. And he was nailing Cuellar several times. He was landing the hardest shots.
Heard him in the 4th.
But there was no marks on his face. His face looked good.
You're talking about Cuellar.
Cuellar's face.
Yeah.
And Vic, that first big shot to the chin, it wasn't even on the tip of the chin, it was about right here as he pulled straight back because he was tired because he's old. That was it.
Yeah, and the way he's getting knocked down and then kind of flopping around and almost looks like a dead carcass, that right there tells you, like an appliance, the warranty is up.
Vic needs to be saved from himself because the thing that made Darchinyan really special was not just his awkward, quirky style or his punching power. It was the fact that he felt that he was invincible. He would fight anyone.
He has guts.
Anywhere, anytime. He still feels that way. He's a fighter. He's always going to feel that way. But to save him from himself, his handlers need to have him hang up his gloves. Because if you look at who's knocked him out, they've all been young, top 10 featherweights in their primes. We're talking about Nicholas Walters. Or even Donaire. He was beating Donaire, but Donaire kind of has his number. But the fact that the last 3 fights that he's lost by knockout, that should tell them that it's time for Vic Darchinyan to retire. And I tell you what, Steve, he'll get that check mark. If I see his name on the International Boxing Hall of Fame ballot, he gets a check mark from me.
And hopefully that'll be 5 years from now and no longer. Well, on behalf of Doug Fischer and Michael Montero, this is Steve Kim for 10 Count. So till the next round, goodbye, everybody.